Welcome to Intentional Excellence, the podcast where we explore real stories of strength, transformation, and the power of living with purpose. I'm your host, Candice Ruggiero, member of Two Speakers Bureaus as a keynote speaker, host of Love Speaks live show, aspiring author, and founder of Novara Global Education Consulting. Tonight, I'm honored to feature another powerful episode to the series entitled The Lost Child: Finding Yourself Beyond the Past. This series is about uncovering what's often hidden behind grief, silence, and childhood loss, and how we can intentionally rise beyond it all to reclaim who we were always meant to be. Our guest tonight is someone whose journey of resilience, healing, and transformation deeply aligns with this mission. Please allow me to introduce Jen Rigley. Jen Rigley is an author, motivational speaker, and personal transformation expert focused on women's empowerment and living your best life after 50. Her mission is to inspire and empower women in midlife to create a new story for their life, especially after facing significant challenges and trauma. Formerly a top sales and marketing executive working with both startups and Fortune 500 clients, Jen is the founder of Flourishing Over 50, a brand whose powerful message is rooted in overcoming adversity in midlife. With years of real life experience encountering and overcoming hardship, Jen is sought after to share her story of resilience and triumph. Her journey includes losing her father at a young age, the tragic loss of a close family members, and surviving breast cancer. Experiences that have shaped her strength and purpose. As a well respected leader in women's empowerment, Jen inspires thousands of women to overcome challenges, heal, and flourish in midlife through her Flourishing Over 50 community and her Flourish Journey framework. To my viewers and friends, help me welcome our wonderful, amazing guest, Jen Rigley. How are you, Jen? Hi, Jen.
Hi, thank you, Candice.
How are you?
I'm doing really well, and I'm going to pause for one moment to turn off my appointment reminder for this call.
Yes, go ahead.
Apologize for that. I am
It's
now
okay. I
back.
was wondering, is that like an ice cream truck? Like it's still late for ice cream. Jen, I am so pleased to have you in the show. Did I forget anything? Do you want to add anything that you want the viewers to know about yourself, or did I forget anything from your introduction?
No, thank you, Candice, for that great
Yes.
introduction. It was quite lengthy, so I think it covered everything. Thank you.
Well, this is real conversation we're gonna have. I want the audience to really know you, so I really take time to like really introduce my guest. Jen, my podcast is global. I'm from Florida, USA. Where are you coming from?
So I am coming to you from Chicago.
Hmm. Nice. How's the weather there?
So, you know what's great is it is a very sunny day. So, when you live in Chicago, even though
Yeah.
it's 30 degrees, which is a bit cold for this time of year, the fact that the sun is out makes it fabulous.
Don't tell me it's still snowing.
Well, yesterday we had some flurries.
No way, because I used to live in New York for like 20 years, so I know the feeling of like it could be April and it still snows out of like nowhere.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, again, glad to have you here. So we're gonna start. Okay, I can't wait. I'm so excited to speak with you. All right. So Jen, let's talk about rediscovering self after loss. Jen, you've shared how losing your father at just 10 years old deeply shaped your early life. Was that the first time you truly felt lost? And perhaps share how did that experience affect your sense of identity and belonging as a young girl growing up in silence?
Yes, thank you, Candice. That is such a good question for anyone, especially for anyone who experienced loss when they were younger, and especially because you use the word belonging, and that's a hard word for me to take in, because yes, it was probably the first time that I really not only felt or experienced loss, but really knew it. And all of a sudden, I felt different from everybody else. None of my friends had gone through something like this. So I felt very alone. I did feel lost, and I felt lost in terms of we were a family that didn't really talk about things. And after my father died, we didn't talk about him or his death or how it affected us as a family. We kind of fell apart as a family. So
Yes.
I was lost in terms of feeling any type of close family or support.
Right.
But then I did start leaning on my friends for part of that. So the belonging part for my life started to come more from
Your friends.
friends than it did even from my family.
Um, So when I was reading your bio, I for some reason I knew that I had to feature you because a lot of my series it's all about myself also, so that I can like how I resonate with the topic because it's all about conversation. And like you, Jen, I lost my father. I was 11 years old, so just a year after yours
Oh,
was.
I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, and like so when I read it, I know exactly and I completely agree with you. Like that life was never the same again, right? Like when someone who's such an integral part of your family is gone, Jen, everything shifts. Like there's this hollow feeling. You go through big life moments. Like I'm sure you did the same thing, like vacations, graduation, confirmation, weddings, and we're like seven siblings. So like there's so many holidays and
Mhm.
memories that there's just this space that never gets filled every time there's a memory. And like my mom did everything she could. She was amazing. She tried so hard to take on both sides, but she was also juggling so much. So Jen, my dad had such a strong presence, and when he passed, just like you, things didn't really fall apart, or maybe I didn't feel it because you and I were young, but they changed. So like I remember my first communion, confirmation, like there was no father figure there. It's a different kind of pain that lingers. So I truly understand how you felt, Jen.
Well, and Candace, what I want to add is I didn't know that background before you and I just started talking here today,
Yes,
but
yes.
um, I had we were a family with six children,
Oh
so
my
somewhat
God.
similar. And
Yes.
one situation, and you talk about some of those events where things they're just different. And one, because we were 10 and you were 11, you're right. I don't know that we fully understood
No.
what the impact would be for
No.
our lives, but I have a very vivid memory of I was raised Catholic, and we had our eighth grade kind of like a grad.
Confirmation.
Yes, well, it was right before graduation, and it was the father daughter dance.
Okay.
And
Oh.
what do you do with that? I didn't
Yes.
know what to do. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we had to ask around. And thank goodness there is this wonderful gentleman. His name was Mr. Benigni. He was the
Okay.
father of a friend of mine, stepped
Oh.
in to do that dance with me. But it's things like that where
Yes.
you're going
Yes.
through life and things are happening, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what do I do here?
And wait till we talk about the second question. You're gonna be surprised. Like, why are you a guest in my podcast? It's like you're gonna see the similarity of what we went through. All right. So um it's different, right? Like sometimes don't you have these cry attacks, Jen? Like even at such a young age that we lost our father, like sometimes 10 years I would find myself just sobbing for no reason. Like I still get triggered. Like when I open like the TV or social media and I see stories about a father and a daughter, I cry until now. For some reason, it just you get triggered,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And like I guess you'll never forget feelings like that. And until now we get triggered, right? It's just like it's emotional for me, like a father thing. So when I have friends and I see them with father, like I do get jealous. And for some reason I get attached to their dads. Like my friends' dads, I get attached. Maybe it's because like that's something that I never had. You know
Yes,
what I
there
mean?
there there is something about how, at least for me, you start to look up to
Yes.
men in a different way, because you're kind of thinking, oh, like, what if, or maybe,
Right.
or and you've missed that type of relationship in your life.
And I don't know about you, because like my dad was very powerful and influential. Like my dad was a lawyer. He owned his own practice. He was a president of a company, elected official in the community. So like my concept of a male at that time was so strong because it was my dad who I truly love. So like in a way, Jen, that's
Hmm.
how I envision men in general, which is not. I know I shouldn't, but for me, a good man is like my father. So whenever I guess my husband or like whoever I meet, I look for those qualities. And I know it's wrong. But it's just something. I don't know if it's just me or is it also you that like that was the first male figure that I ever had in my life. So I kind of expected somebody to be like him. I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing, but I
Yes,
don't
and
know.
not only was it the first, but I know, at least for me, it was the only.
Yes,
Until I was, maybe 18 or 20, and starting to date. I didn't date a lot in high school, maybe a little bit.
me too.
But
Yeah.
that's the only figure that you remember.
Right. Right. So yeah. Whew. All right. It's already like heavy. So John, let's talk about the turning point now toward empowerment. So reading your bio, I can't wait to hear about how you've empowered yourself and others. So you've faced a layering of personal loss from your sister and brother-in-law to your battle with breast cancer. Chan, was there a defining moment when you said, "This is not how my story ends"? And kind of like what gave you the courage to reclaim your narrative?
Yeah, so one of the things that I talk about is, we as women, and especially as we start to age, we do encounter so many situations, and I talk about it almost like it is like a layer cake.
Okay.
One thing on top of another, on top of another. And not everyone faces the same type of challenges, but that was my life. So my father's death affected me when I was younger. But what I also talk about is how we as women tend to just power through. And I did that. And
Yes.
I had a great professional career and I raised my family. But as you mentioned, I then, during that time, I did encounter other pretty tragic
Losses. Yeah.
circumstances, that kind of layered on top of one, on top of the other. And then when you talk about the turning point, I lost my mother when my mother was 89. So this was later in her life. And
And
what
how
happened?
about around how old were you? Like were you married then already?
Yes, so I was married, I had raised my children. So I was older.
Okay.
But when I lost her, I was truly, for the first time, grief stricken. At least what I felt, really grief stricken.
Right, right, right.
And the turning point was after we had lost her, I was at home alone and I was literally on the kitchen floor, tears streaming down my face. And I thought, really what I was ruminating on and what was
Right.
constantly coming up was, is this all there is to life?
Right.
Like, just all these things, one on top of another. And I laid there and I truly did not know how I was going to get up off the floor. But as I laid there, I started to hear some type of knowing or wisdom came to me. I heard whispers, very light whispers. It was along the lines of, yeah, it acknowledged my life and the
Right.
tragedies I had been through, but there was some knowing and messages of, but you will go on. You will
Right. Right.
experience joy in your life again. And it was just that little bit that I needed to pick
Right.
myself up off the floor and then keep going. But a lot of that was genesis for me starting this Flourishing Over 50 community, because I knew
Yes.
that it wasn't just me.
Right.
that women across the world are going through this layering on of challenge, grief, tragedy, really whatever it might be in someone's life. By midlife, we just start to feel like we've been through it and we're
Right.
run down. And it's not because of our age, it's because of all of
The
these layering.
experiences, the trauma. Um, I mean, what you went through is not easy. You talked about, can you briefly share with us, like, how old were you when you lost your sister? And then you talked about, was it a car accident? Just to give us more idea why at the moment when it was your mom, maybe that's the reason why you just lost it and just you were just on the ground because of it. Like, can you share with us briefly what happened to your
Yes. And
sister?
so one of the things that I talk about too is we don't always acknowledge our losses. Like I said, we just power through. So
Yes.
I had lost my
Are you
dad.
okay with this?
Yes.
Sharing it? Okay.
I actually I appreciate you having me on because I'm just now starting to talk about these things and tell my story because I have just buried it all inside for so long.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but so I lost my sister when I was in my late 20s. And what had happened right before that, though, we had lost her husband, who was my brother in law, was killed in a car accident on Thanksgiving. And it was a
But
very,
they weren't together in the car accident. So who
no, it was a
passed
very
away first? Your
traumatic,
sister. Your
yes, it
sister
was
first.
a very traumatic situation because she was here in Chicago with us for Thanksgiving. He had stayed in California where they lived. And the after, Thanksgiving, that beautiful day, we had
Yes,
cleared
with your
everything
whole
up. It,
family's there. Yeah.
yes, it was nighttime, and she got a call, um, and it was very traumatic because we didn't really know exactly what had happened, and it was complicated, but we lost him at that time, and
So
then
during the Thanksgiving celebration,
it was at the end. It was actually at the
still.
end of it where everything was cleared up and we were just relaxing. In fact, so this is a little hard for me to talk about, but my sister was in the bathtub relaxing after the day, and when we got that call. And so that as a family, we all rallied around to support her. And of course, it was very, very difficult. And then she made it through that. And then that next summer, so 9 months later, we lost her in a car accident. And again, it was a very tragic
Wait,
situation.
both car accidents?
Yes. And she was in California. We were here. She had actually been on vacation. And it was very complicated
Mm-hmm.
and tragic and just things you would never think you would ever have to deal with in your life. But we lost her. So that was in my late 20s. And so we as a family, that actually, and I hate to say this because of course, you wish maybe things had been different, but that actually pulled us together as a
Okay.
family. We had kind of fallen apart when my
Right,
father had
right.
died. This brought us back together. But those were some key, really big traumatic
Pivotal moment,
circumstances.
yeah. Did they have kids?
They did not have children.
Okay, all right. I mean, of course, you would have loved to have nieces and nephew, but if you know what I mean. But thinking about it now, maybe it was meant not to happen, right? All right.
And
Would have
they
been
were
hard.
meant to be together. My sister was never the same.
Of course.
Um, and so, this is, the world works in mysterious ways
Right,
that,
it
that we just
does.
can't figure out. But, there's a tiny little bit of peace knowing that they are together.
Right. Yes, yes. I mean, that reassures us, like kind of gives us peace, especially I'm sure your mom, right? Right. Wait, your sister and they passed away first, back before your mom, right?
Yes,
Because
like
your mom was
years,
89. Okay.
years before.
Yes. Okay. So remember when I told you how when I was reading your bio, I knew I had to bring you here in my podcast? You're going to be surprised because our stories are so aligned, Jen. I also lost siblings when I was 19. My brother passed away. It's
Oh,
like you were
wow.
like 20s, like I'm 19. So, my brother was super smart, supposed to be a neurosurgeon, and we do have a history of asthma and heart issues in my family. So my dad died heart attack. like I told you, also very bad asthma. So it was one of those afternoon wherein um, my brother was just like yelling. He had that one of a really bad heart asthma attack, and he was just saying, take me to the hospital, take me to the hospital. But then at that time, my our show we I was living in the Philippines. We had the chauffeur. The chauffeur wasn't there, so there was no car. First time in my life I rode a cab, all right, with my brother.
Oh,
Jen, I literally saw my brother turn gray. He died in my arms,
oh,
and
Candice.
he was such a my brother was just like so spiritual, so God fearing, God loving. I knew he was at peace. You know the words he uttered, Jen? I love you, God. He screamed before he lost his breath. I love you, God. And then all of a sudden died in my arms, turned gray. Shocked. I was shocked. Like I was 19. Okay.
Oh
Didn't
my
know that that
gosh.
was going to happen. He did he was brain dead when, I guess he just waited for the entire family to come. But I just wanted to like share with you that like, I know how it feels like how hurt painful it is to lose family members. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
and I lost another brother 4 years ago. I was
Oh,
teaching.
Candice.
I'm a teacher. I'm teaching with little kids, and all of a sudden, everybody was like FaceTiming me, and from the Philippines. I'm the only one here in America. Everybody's in the Philippines. Like, why are you over FaceTiming me? You're supposed to be sleeping because of like the time difference. I didn't know my brother passed away. I literally, they showed me he died in their house for some reason. I had to say goodbye to my brother on the phone
Oh,
because I was like thousands of miles away, and I went back to my class, pretended it was nothing because I didn't want my kids to get scared. But deep inside, I wanted to cry. You know what I mean? I'm just
right.
like that. So right after the class and the rant, I ran to my principal, say, I need to go. I need to leave. But like saying goodbye to a dead person again on the phone, like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so that's why I wanted to like really share with you that how your story resonated with me. And I mean, you know what I realized, Jen, that it made me believe that maybe the good ones are taken early because they have a bigger purpose beyond this life. That's just how I see life.
Right.
Like they have a bigger purpose and they're happy now. You know what I mean? I know they are happy because like just the peacefulness when my brother said, I love you, God. And even my dad, like, you know what I mean? Like, um, you know, like, like what you said, your sister and her husband are
Hmm.
together now. So there's always a light at the end of the dark tunnel.
Right, right.
Right. So, yeah, but we move on. And I love that you're empowering others now to do the same and just to overcome their trauma, whatever it is. This series, I've learned a lot of what kind of trauma people deal with. But you know what? In the end, it's all about how you overcome whatever trauma and pain you have in your life, overcome it to become a stronger you. And I want to learn more about what you do. So let's talk about breaking generational silence. So, growing up in a household where grief wasn't openly discussed can leave a
Hmm.
lasting imprint, right? I hate to keep asking you because I don't want you to like relive it, but sometimes it helps when you talk about it. How did that shape your mindset as a woman? And maybe what intentional steps did you take to begin breaking those unspoken patterns? Or maybe at this point, how are you also, maybe talk about what's your strategy when you empower women?
So I feel like I'm still in the process because I did say, and as you mentioned, we didn't talk about grief. Well, we
Yes,
didn't talk about a
yes.
lot of things,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
grief being one of them. And so I still find myself, I have to prod myself and prompt myself to make sure that I'm not hiding things. I try to be open. I have three young adult daughters,
Okay.
and I try to be more open with them. And I try not to hide. We all want to protect our children
Right.
and not share everything with them. But I try to share with them or be more open, so they can see that these things do happen.
Right.
I
Right.
never wanted anything bad to happen with my children, but at some point I realized if we protect them 100% from anything,
Yes.
they don't, they're not able to have tools or techniques to deal with it. So I try to be as open as possible. For example, when my mother did die, I was grief stricken and very open about it.
Right,
So I
right.
didn't try to hide that pain away.
And you also, in a way, when you speak with your, when you're so open to your daughters and your children, I feel like you're preparing them also for what can happen or what might happen, because when a defining moment happens in your life, you need to be prepared, right? Whether you're the mom or like whether you're the kids, you kind of need to prepare them. And as a mom, I think the best way to prepare our children for whatever can happen, maybe a job loss or a significant income loss or a death in the family or divorce, is by being open to them, so that when those things
Hmm.
happen, you don't have to worry about the relationship. You've already built the relationship. You're closer,
Right.
you're stronger. So anything that happens to you, it's kind of easier to navigate around it, right?
100%. I completely agree with that.
And again, okay, so 2023, my husband passed away. That's the reason why I was talking to you about it's good to have an open relationship with your kids already, because you never know, Jen, when a defining moment happens in your life. All
Hmm.
right. Like, yes, my husband for 17 years we were together has been sick. Again, another person with heart illness. I don't know. Like, my family just has his family, my family just have this like really bad family heart illness issue. That's why my kids, because of my side and his side, since they were babies, they would always have full blood, what you had, like full physical with
Blood
all
test
blood,
workups.
like
Yes.
blood tests since they were babies, because of the bad heart history and on both sides. So um I just wanted to reflect on what you said. Prepare, not
Hmm.
just you talking to your kids, you as a person. If whoever we're taught, whoever is listening to this podcast, whoever you are, you need to prepare. Okay, you can be a good mother but still have a fallback, because if anything happens in your life, a defining moment, and you're not prepared physically, financially, emotionally, even career wise,
Hmm.
you're gonna struggle. Things are gonna change. And if you're not prepared, your life is gonna crumble. I'm sorry to say that.
Yes.
It will. So, right now, whoever you are listening, find a way to love yourself, to prepare yourself, to put savings a little in your, you know what I mean? Like, just be prepared, because anything can happen, right?
Yes, 100%.
Like, you really never know what's gonna happen. So I love, you want to talk about like your group. Tell me more about your group. Like, how did this start?
So it originated, it kind of, the genesis of this was when I was feeling really low. I went
Mhm.
out to the internet, to Facebook, and I thought I'm going to find a group that I can
Okay.
with other women, and we can inspire each other and lift each other up. Like, I really need something like that. And I could not find anything. What I did find was a lot of Facebook groups where women were posting about how hard things were, and
Okay.
how they were
Wow.
so down and they felt bad about their body and they wanted to have a facelift and all these negative things. And leaving children, or the empty nest syndrome was a big one. They were just beside themselves. And there was not a lot of inspiration. There was a lot of, this really sucks. And
Yes.
I was
Yes.
like,
It's so
oh,
negative.
I was like, okay, we're going to do something about this. And it was after, so I originally started Flourishing Over 40 with a little bit more tips and tricks for things like healthy eating, get
Right.
moving, try some manifestation. But that has now evolved much more into, and as I said, I wasn't sharing my story.
Right.
It was more about just supporting women. But as I realized I needed to start sharing my story, and I started to focus more on, I looked back and like, wow, I've been through a lot,
Right.
and I've been able to
Right.
make it through, and so I know other women can. So I actually created a whole process called the Flourish Journey for women in midlife, and what it is a healing process. There's 7 steps that we start from the beginning and we go all the way through. And I'm not trying to tell women that you're going to wake up with a smile on your face tomorrow.
No.
And I'm not trying to talk to that woman who maybe just lost their husband and is in deep despair.
Right. Right.
I'm talking to the person that feels really down, has been through a lot of challenges, but they're ready for something new and different. And
Right.
I talk
Right.
about creating a new story for your life. And so I help women start creating that new story for their life.
And you know what? It all flourished through your resilience. You know what I mean? Like you now you like because you went through all these challenges, all these trauma in your life, you are now ready to lead thousands of women because of your mission. But that kind of leadership is born from your resilience. And like I like the way that you said, like of course everything is baby steps. Like I liked what you said that in the beginning you were just posting, but only when you become vulnerable yourself and open up to your audience, your followers, will they really resonate with you? Because like, come on, social media can be fake sometimes. Like all you see are the beautiful, like ooh stuff, and you know what I mean. Like not everybody is going through through those things. Like let's face it, it's a lot of negative things that are happening in people's life. And who are the best mentors to empower women but us who have went through life
Yes.
challenges and actual trauma in our life, right?
Yes, and I truly feel like I didn't have a choice. This just started coming out of me. And I feel like when I'm looking for somebody that I maybe want to look up to or I want to work with, it's important that they understand what I've been through. And you told your story, Candace, and there's not that many people that could really relate to me and what I've been through the way you're able
I
to, but
did,
it's because of
yeah,
what we've gone through.
right. But honestly, the that's why, because like I'm a speaker yourself. I think you're a motivational speaker, right? I I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a podcast host. I also have every Monday I have a live show that's streamed all over social media, and I really talk about my life experience. I do. I don't sugarcoat it. All right, my like the when I how many times I failed, how many times I cried, how many times I went through life. I do, and I feel that that's the reason why people accept me. You know what I mean? And there are moments wherein I'm just on social media just dancing or singing or happy. It's me. Like I found like okay, you know why I know why your group is going to make it. Because you know why? I found my true genuine self when I turned 50. Okay, I'm more than 50. I'm like a couple of months past 50 because like the death of my husband was my driving force for major change, Jen. I've been in the field of education for 30 years and all of a sudden I woke up and like I want to change and everything that I'm doing now is totally different from the way I was doing 30 years ago. And
Wow.
like what you said, at the age of 50, don't think of it as my life is almost over. Think of it as it's just the beginning of my life. And that's exactly how I'm living my life right now. I'm a
Oh.
changed person.
Mhm.
I'm a changed person, Jen. But I never let go of all the things that happen in my life, the bad things. Those are the things that made me strong now. Those are the things that I talk about. And it's just fuels me. Like all these things that happen to me, one on top of the other, it just fuels me to just show up every day to my followers and just to make
Yes.
an impact, you know what I mean, like what you're doing. So I love your mission and I know you're going to be successful because we have to empower people and let them know that it's not over.
It's not, and as you said, as you found when you turned 50, in a lot of ways, it is just beginning, and
Beginning.
there's just so many great things
Yes.
ahead.
You remember that life begins at 50? Oh, that is so true for me. And I just wanted to let you know that at my age, I don't know, I feel more alive than ever. Like I don't even feel my age. Like this chapter of my life is about really, I do a lot of self care. I do a lot of self-love and purpose. Like all of a sudden I woke up and like I'm not like I look at myself like I don't want to live my life just like this. I love being a teacher, but I feel like I can do more. And you know what's nice, Jen? I've fallen in love with speaking, my podcasting and hosting. Because look at you, you're in front of me. I'm meeting amazing people. And I just started this journey last year. And like looking at myself now and comparing myself last year, like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, like I did this, so I know anyone can do it. And that's is simply what
Right.
I want to share with everyone. If I can do it, you can do it too. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And that never be afraid to start all over, right?
Yes, and I think it's hard for a lot of women, but I think we show up, you and I,
Yes.
and other women, just to say that it can be done. And like you said, it doesn't happen overnight, but it doesn't have to be the same old thing. And you can use those challenges and traumas in your past to really
Right.
fuel you to get to your future.
Yes. And like who are the best people to for them for them to ask for suggestion recommendation but us who went through like what, let's name it, grief, loss, what, weight loss, like everything, we all went through that. So
Right.
who's the best people to like share but us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jen, let's talk about navigating setbacks with intention, because you know what, even after we heal, we all know that triggers can resurface, right? Whether it's a memory, a date, or a milestone. So, Jen, how do you stay grounded when the past revisits you? And maybe what intentional strategies help you realign with your empowered self? So maybe like also our strategies for the people we're empowering.
Yeah, so
Like,
one of the first things I will say is when there's a triggering moment, and these come out of the blue, literally
right,
out of the blue.
yes.
You're not expecting them, and all of a sudden, you're faced with something. For me, I I just get stuck. Like, oh my gosh, for a little bit. But then I have a practice that I teach women, and it's actually called the joy triangle. But
Okay.
what it is, it
Wait,
is
joy triangle? Okay.
it's a process where I ask women to, and I ask them to do this every day when they go through my course, or in a workshop. But it helps when you face one of these situations, one of these trigger moments. Spend 1 minute just in stillness. So just quiet your mind, and then 1 minute to think about what you're grateful for. And for me, that's often something I'm grateful for that's tied to most of these triggers are tied to people in my life. But not always, because my cancer diagnosis is something else that I do get triggered by. But I find something that I'm grateful for tied to that event,
Yeah.
and they're there. You can find them. If nothing else, it was that time you did get to spend with them. And then the third part, so you can picture a triangle, but then the third part is intention. What's your intention for how either this event that triggered you, or what's the intention for the rest of your day now that you have been triggered? But kind of set an intention around that. So that trigger moment doesn't pull you down for the whole day.
Right. Right. I like that. And Jen, I like it when we talk about so many things because you never know who is listening. You want to talk about your, I didn't even mention it, your journey as a breast cancer survivor. You want to talk about that briefly? So maybe if we have someone listening who's going through something like maybe some empowerment.
Yeah, so what I will talk about for that, so one, for me it was breast cancer. For somebody else, it could be something
It could be
different, but
anything.
but
It could
maybe a
be
health
anything.
issue. But
Yes.
what I want to acknowledge is that
Right.
we just we are not the same person
Okay.
before and after. And the way I think of it, as before cancer, after cancer, or before the C word, after the C word. But that moment of finding out and being diagnosed, and then actually going through the treatment, is a traumatic event. And because something like breast cancer, is
Jen,
so
how old are you?
common.
How old were you? Just sorry to interrupt you. How old were you
I
when you
was
had?
50.
Okay. Oh,
But so because it's somewhat common now, which I hate to say, but it is, breast cancer is fairly common. We hear a lot more about it. We as women tend to be like, oh, yeah, oh, I had breast cancer. Oh, it's not a big deal. But it is,
it
in
is a big
fact,
deal. It is a big
a
deal.
significant traumatic event. And so, as you go through that process, I want you to try to be present as much as possible and process it as you're going through it. Again, most of us will power through. That's what we tend to do. But then those feelings that what can come up will come up later. So try to process it as you're going through it. And I think I'm a big person in terms of recommending meditation. But this is what
Yes.
I like to recommend to people. I want you to know that sometimes, some days, a deep breath is your meditation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some days it's five, maybe you could do 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't want you to feel like it seems nowadays when we're talking about meditation that you have to sit on the floor with your legs crossed and be quiet for 30 minutes. Meditation is much more about having stillness, put your phone down, turn off the TV, just be with yourself for
Right.
just for a tiny little
Right.
bit. That will
Right.
help you balance yourself out.
And you keep mentioning that people power through life, right? You know what's you know which is so common. You know what happens? You know the consequence. You never heal
Yes.
because you're not mindful. You're not living at the present moment. If you have to cry, if you have to grieve, if you have to just take a break, go do it in order for you to heal. Jen, I didn't work for like almost 7, 8 months. I left the profession just for me to heal. And during my healing journey, that's when I found my motivational speaking change of shift. But now I'm ready to face the world because I feel that I've healed. I literally physically left tension, stress, everyday work, and needed change in my life. And everything that you said, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, mindfulness, without me even knowing what it meant, I was practicing it because it was making me feel good about myself. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
now I know it's powerful. So whatever Jen mentioned to you, I did it myself. Please know that it's free. It's possible, baby steps if you have to. If meditation is hard for you, I started with 3 minutes. Okay?
Yeah. That's my 3 minute, the joy triangle 3 minute practice.
Oh, is
Yes.
that it?
Yes.
Because it's not easy, okay?
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially I have an active mind. I'm always thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
suggestion, put your phone away. Put your
That is
phone
the
away.
big one.
Because I get distracted with notification. And then you know what, Jen? I can do 20 minutes now. I do it. Like whenever I feel like and I do meditation, Jen, not just for to calm my business in my head, for gratitude. When I am so excited for the day, like something good happened to me, or something like what you said, life struggle, because we
Mm-hmm.
still go through life struggle, I just meditate. 20 minutes. And I love scented candles. For some reason it's like it's more powerful for me when I light my candles, and
Yes.
it's just like so peaceful. Oh my god, I hope everybody can try it because it's the best feeling. Right, just quiet your brain and mind even for a few minutes
Mm-hmm.
a day, right? So let me wrap up what you said. So even when we think we're healed, but like what Jen said, if you're just powering through life, you're not totally healed. Grief has a way of showing up again in those quiet, unexpected moments. So
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful to hear how it's better to know that you are really grounding yourself intentionally. So like what you said, try the meditation, the mindfulness, walking in nature, gratitude. Those are the things that will help you heal. Yeah, it's just those little things that you think it's hard, it's there. It's something that you can just do right
Mm-hmm.
away, right, Jen?
Yes.
So those emotional anchors those are the things that really anchors us to bring us back home to ourselves. And
Yes.
I love I love your strategies. um Jen, for anyone listening who feels stuck in grief, trauma, or silence, what words of wisdom would you offer to help them take that first step toward healing, especially those entering a new chapter in midlife, like, like us?
So the first thing that I want people to know is that you will get through this.
Okay.
So there will be times when you feel stuck and it's really hard to get through, but you will get through it and you will come out on the other side. But some things to think about is, how are you living your life as you go
Yeah.
through this process? And as Candice said, you can use these to really change your life. But
Yes.
I go through a whole process where we talk about the past and make sure that you've healed or at least addressed things that have happened in your past or maybe what you're going through now. And then take a look at your current life and what's
Yes.
working for you and what's not. And Candace, it sounds like that's exactly what you did. Is
Yes.
you do an assessment, and I kind of go through five key areas of life, where we walk through, like what's working and what's not, and what
Okay.
do more of what lifts you up, and
Okay.
then what can you let go of. And that's how you start to go along the process, and you start becoming a new person. And then I have great activities and more steps, things like the most important word I want people to remember when they're in this very difficult place is possibilities,
Right.
because a lot of what I am doing is just encouraging women to consider the possibilities. So you don't have to change tomorrow. You don't have to
Right.
know how it's done. But if you could just consider the possibility that your life could be different, that's where it all starts. And then after the possibilities, we start dreaming, what could
Right.
this life really look like?
Right.
And just, I call it a dreamscape. What could it be? And then I have a great, it's called the Magical Toolkit,
Oh, I'm
where,
excited. What's
yes, where
that?
we actually work together, or you work in a group or on your own, however you want to do it. But you create a toolkit of all the things that are going to help lift you up and move you forward. And
Wait,
those
is
are,
it a mental toolkit or like a physical toolkit that they can read, like a journal or something like
well,
that? I'm so excited.
yes.
What is it?
So it's actually a combination. So
Oh,
one of
nice.
the things could be Candace's podcast, because when I listen to it, that lifts me up. It
Okay.
could be a Spotify playlist. It could be a journal where I'm going to start writing my story. It could be a person that when I meet with that person, I have coffee, I feel so uplifted. It could be walking in the forest. Like, it is a toolkit of all, I think I have 15 or
Wow.
20 modalities, which is really just different types of things that we work through. So you now have all these things that are going to help you live your best life. And then the one way over here, the last one, is it's day one. It's actually take action. So just start making a little forward movement, which then creates a ripple in your life,
Yes,
and it
yes.
starts rippling out from there.
I'm gonna step up a little bit what you said and add my little
Please do.
step out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean? In your the process of you going through that, like what everything that Jen said,
Yes.
step out of your comfort zone. Baby steps, baby steps. You know what I mean? Because that's how you're gonna find your real, authentic self when you know that you can do more and be more. You know what I mean? Like when we
Mm-hmm.
finally say that I am like I can do more. Like anybody can do more. Like anyone can do what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was just a teacher teaching little kids. I do have an admin degree. I was supposed to be assistant principal, but still, you can be who you want to be. It's you
And
know what
you,
I mean. It's
and what I want to say, Candace, is when you say
yeah,
do more, it's not about necessarily achieving more. It's about do
be
more
more.
of what you want to do. It's not do more, okay, cook more
Yes,
meals for the kids. It's
yes.
do more of what you want to do and do more of who you want to be.
And you know what, Jen? You know what I realized when you finally reach that point wherein you know that I can do more. You know what's going on with me? I can't stop. Like I keep don't laugh. I keep looking for ways to better myself. I don't know. Like I think it's that ripple effect we're in when you know that you can be more and do more, not necessarily the physical do more. It's just you have a purpose in life, so you can't stop being stuck in one
It
spot.
lights you up. What I call it reignites your soul. That's
Right?
really what we're trying to
Yes.
do here.
And I think that's what happened to me during this 1 year of like healing journey. My soul is so lightened up that I cannot stop. Like I never realized that I would enjoy this podcast. Like I meet incredible people from all over the world and inspiring others. Like I've been heard, like my name is on shout outs, like shout out to Candice. Because of her I started my podcast. Because of her I started my business. Like I didn't realize I have that effect, like I still like be emotional that if whenever I touch someone through my words, my action. Like I never intended this in the beginning. I just wanted to be like someone, but then all of a sudden, I guess when you really find yourself and you're speaking from your heart and from your story, it just touches
Yes.
other people, Jen. You know what I mean? And you and I have a bigger purpose in life. Share our stories.
Yes.
So don't be afraid now to share the most, like, the most painful parts of our story, because that's how we are going to make an impact, right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right. Oh my God, I want to cry. I just feel like I can't stop doing things. I'm not even five, right? I'm a very short person, but like the urge in me to do something, like I
It's
cannot
beautiful and
stop.
it comes across.
I yeah. So if you see me like in a month, in a year, it's because of you. Remember that we spoke.
Yes.
Like I cannot contain myself, and anyone can have this. Like when you want to make an impact, you will, because it will, what's that, it will just come out naturally
Mm-hmm.
from your heart and from your mind and from your, I guess, purpose too. I
Yes.
believe that we all have a purpose in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you do, you can't stop it. Like you have a journey, that your higher power, your God, wants you to do. And you know what I mean, like whatever you do, he will make you like do it, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe in that. I believe in that. All right, so Jen, your words are a gift. That lost child, we all carry that version of ourselves, and I believe your voice helps that inner child feel seen and safe. Jen, your story proves that no matter how long it takes, we can choose to rise and we can choose to flourish. Just like what your community or your group flourish. I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Flourish. Jen, I want to thank you so much for sharing your heart with us today. Your voice, your mission, and your journey are truly changing lives. But before we go on, how can our listeners find you? Like, I wanna check out like the 20 things that you have for your toolkit. How can the viewers find you, or do you have anything to share or to promote?
So I am at Flourishing Over 50, and the 50 is spelled out. So you can find me on Instagram under that. You can find me on Facebook. My website is the same, www.flourishingover50. And I do have a free self-care guide available. And then I also have the Joy Triangle. It's almost like a little piece of artwork for your
Right.
wall for people that sign up.
Nice. All right. And also, when I share this, uh, I share it on like maybe five social media platforms. When I share our podcast, and I would reach out to you to give me all the links so that when I share it, the viewers can literally like easily press the
Perfect.
link to everything that you just mentioned. All right, because I like,
Perfect.
we help each other. All right,
Yes.
so anything else before I wrap up this beautiful conversation that we're having? Anything else?
No, we covered a lot.
I
It's
know.
been great. You're a great host. You make your guests feel welcome, and
Oh,
so
thank you. And it's not just because we share the same story. It's like I see your passion, and I feel like the best people that I meet, the strong people that I meet each day, are the ones that are resilient because they learned from their trauma. They overcame everything in their life, and that's how you're here, empowering others, because you were able to go through life challenges and make it part of you. That's how I see it,
Thank you.
right? All right, so to everyone listening, if you want to connect with me, visit my website at www.candiceruggiero.com. I speak at convention, conferences, professional development, workshop. I speak on authenticity, intentionality, leadership, empowerment, and burnout. You can also find me on a lot of different social media platforms. Use linktree/Candice Ruggiero. This episode is a reminder that even the lost child within us can grow up, find strength, and build a life of intentional excellence. And I want to remind everyone, you are not defined by your past. You are called to rise with purpose. Everybody has a purpose in life. And until the next time, I want to thank you, Jen, again for being part of this podcast. I learned so much from you. Thank
Great.
you,
Thank
and
you,
I
Candice.
know, others did as well. Until next time, keep healing, keep flourishing, and keep choosing intentional excellence. Have a good evening, Jen. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.